Hi, I'm Dave Vickers and welcome to Photo Show. In today's episode we're going to be taking a look at the new Nikon D7200 and comparing it to the previous version, the D7100. Remember, if you like what you see on the Photo Show, please comment, like and subscribe in the boxes below. Let's have a look at the video. Okay, today's the 2nd of March 2015 and Nikon have just announced the release of the new Nikon D7200. It's going to be the replacement for the D7100. But what I wanted to look at was, how much of a replacement is it? How much of an upgrade is it? And is it worth upgrading from a D7100 to a D7200? If you're in the market for a crop frame camera, is it worth buying the D7200 or looking at the cheaper D7100? So there was a lot of rumours about the D7200, about what specifications it was going to have. There was a lot of rumours about it shooting 4K video internally. There was a lot of rumours about it having a tilting screen like the D750, but none of these turned out to be true. So just looking at the specs side by side, majority is the same. It's exactly the same body as the D7100, so all of the controls and the buttons are exactly the same. I've picked out 5 or 6 differences in the two cameras, and really it's just to have a look through them and give you the options to make the choice for yourself whether it's worth upgrading or whether it's worth going for the newer option over the older option. So let's start off with the D7200 has a 24.2 megapixel sensor, whereas the D7100 had a 24.1 megapixel sensor. So it's 0.1 of a megapixel difference. The file sizes will be exactly the same from one camera to the other. You're basically talking about 24 megapixels on both cameras. The D7200 has the newer Exceed processor, Exceed 4 processor, whereas the D7100 was running the Exceed 3 processor. This is going to give you slightly faster running rates, slightly quicker operations. The thing it'll also do is increase the photo buffer size. The D7200 is now shooting 100 JPEGs before the buffer's filled up. Obviously this is going to depend on what speed memory card you've got in it, and it's really how useful is that. They both still shoot at 6 frames per second, so the higher buffer size would be useful if you're shooting sport or wildlife, but neither camera is really designed for that. 6 frames per second is not massive. You've got the Canon 70D Mark II, which is shooting at 10 frames per second and is much more geared up towards sports, wildlife photography, that kind of thing. So okay, yeah, there is a change in the processor there, but it's a weight of how much it's actually giving you. The biggest add-on to the D7200 is internal Wi-Fi. How much use that is to you, whether that's something you'd use, is entirely down to you. It was always an option with the D7100 to add a Wi-Fi card with it, and having a search around today, you can buy a 32 gig Wi-Fi SD card for about £40. And putting that in the D7100 will give you Wi-Fi as opposed to the internal Wi-Fi that you've got on the D7200. The D7200 also has the NFC touch capability, so if you've got a compatible mobile phone or tablet, you can pair the two and just touch it to the camera to share the files. Again, in a camera of this level, I'm not sure how much that's going to be useful. I'm not sure how many people are going to be wanting to directly send images to their phone from one to the other. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you think is an addition to the camera over the previous model. Let me know if that's the thing you use, and we'll discuss it from there. Focus points. Both cameras have the same 51 focus points. Both have 15 cross-type focus points within it. They're saying that the D7200 is better focusing in low light, but I never really noticed that the D7100 was that different. But if that's something that, if you shoot a lot of low light stuff and you struggle with focus, possibly that's something that you'd want to upgrade to. The next upgrade area with the two is the native ISO range. The D7100 had a native ISO range of ISO 100 to 6400. and then it was expandable up to 25,600 in the H1 and H2 modes. The D7200 has a native range of ISO 100 up to 25,600 natively. Now, yeah, okay, I understand it. Who is shooting at these high ISOs? I'm sort of lost at the point. The camera manufacturers are pushing the ISO range up and up and up, and I'm sort of lost on the point of who it's actually for. If you're shooting anything above 6400 ISO, please stick in the comments. Let me know what you're actually photographing, because I'd really like to know. Unless someone's commissioning me to shoot a black cat in a coal hole, or to try and catch a bat in flight, I'm really struggling to see where these higher ISOs are being used. And you know, there's always been options to shoot low light things before we had these crazy ISOs. So no, let me know if you're shooting high ISO stuff. Let me know what you're shooting. Put it in the comments below, and let me know what kind of stuff you're shooting and how much use the extended ISO range is going to be to you. The other upgrade areas are mainly within the video side of it. The D7200 has now added a flat profile for videoing, as well as zebra stripes for peaking and meter peaking and things like that. Again, if you shoot a lot of video, those things are really useful. If you shoot a lot of video, this probably isn't the camera you're going to go for. There's probably other models out there that you're going to be looking for before you'd go for one of these for video side. And really, that's the difference. It's 0.1 of a megapixel, well, 0.1 of a megapixel difference in size. Slightly faster processor. Slightly a wider native ISO range, and built-in Wi-Fi. Apart from that, the two cameras are very, very similar. I can't really see an improvement in image quality between one and the other. Neither has the low-pass filter, so the sharpness from that side is still going to be maintained from one model to the other. If you own a D7100, which, looking at the prices today, I mean, this is the big point, I suppose. It's the price point. Looking at the prices today, the D7200 is going to retail for about £940 for the body only. Right at this moment, you can pick up a D7100 for between £570 and £750, depending where you shop, for the body only. So you've got about £200 to £400 difference between one model and the other. And as I said before, a Wi-Fi card here is £40. So for an outlay of £610, you can have a D7100 with Wi-Fi, as opposed to £940 for the D7200 with the Wi-Fi built in. So these are the kind of things. If you're the kind of person that you want the latest camera, you want the latest model, that's fine. That's entirely up to you. It's your money, it's your dollar. You do as you please. I'm just trying to give sort of a subjective view as to whether it's worth upgrading from one to the other. If you're in the market for a camera now, definitely look at both. Definitely look at both models. But I do think you can. The D7100s are going to be available for quite a while now. You can still buy D7000s, brand new bodies. So the D7100 bodies are going to be around for a while, and the D7200 coming out is going to drop the price of the previous body. So these are only going to get cheaper. They're really good cameras. Wait a couple of months and it's going to be an excellent body to buy. I don't think you'll ever be disappointed with it. Does it warrant an upgrade? Does this whole thing warrant it being an upgrade? Is it? I don't think so. I think at the moment camera manufacturers are pushing out models quite rapidly. Models are coming out while the previous models are still on sale, and I don't think there's that huge a gulf between one and the other. It's not a must-have item. There's not. Would a tilting screen have made a difference? I don't think so. It's not something I personally would have used in this level of camera. The tilted screen, maybe a fully articulated screen that came round as well, possibly that might be useful, but I'm not sure that's would have changed the world on this camera. What would I like to have seen? Now, as I was saying, with the crazy high ISO ends, for me personally, I'd like to see the ISOs going the other way. I'd like to see lower ISO sensitivities, going below the 100 ISO as your lowest ISO. I mean, the D810 shoots at, I believe, 64 ISO as its lowest. And I'd love to see camera manufacturers pulling that ISO level down to get more quality for things like portraits and landscapes and stuff like that, to have those lower ISOs and get the better quality out of it, rather than pushing it at the high end where you're actually degrading the quality on the images you're taking. I'd love to see the ISOs go down lower. So if anyone from the Nikon or Canon or anyone's watching, go lower. Work the sensors to say that they can shoot lower ISOs. There's plenty of photographers out there, especially old school ones that used to shoot film, that would love lower ISO ranges. I'd love to see higher flash sync rates, apart from out of the high speed sync flashes where you've got the dedicated flashes to do it. I'd love to see flash sync rates that go higher than 250th of a second. That kind of thing would be really useful, especially with more and more people using off-camera flashes and shooting stuff outdoors. I'd love to see the shutter speed sync for flash pushed higher. But I think I really want to. What's your opinion? It's you're, like I said, you're talking between a £200 and a £400 difference between the two camera bodies new. Now, are the upgrades worth it? Is it worth it for the added Wi-Fi, the higher buffer rate, and the couple additions to the video? The other thing with the video is that the D7200 will now shoot 60 frames per second at 1080p, but it will only do it in the crop mode. It won't do it in the full DX sensor mode. It will only do it in the additional 1.3 crop mode. Okay, yes, it's still 1080p and it will shoot at 60 frames per second. How much use is that? How much use is that going to be to you? Do you shoot a lot of video at the moment? It's a real question. It's your money. You do with it as you please. If you really like having the latest thing, if you want it to say 7200 rather than 7100, fine, go do it. But I'd really like to know your opinions. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the upgrades, whether you think it's worth the extra money, and whether is it worthy of being the next successor. Should they have done the 7100A, an incremental step rather than a full-blown new model. And also I'd like to know what are people shooting at high ISOs. If you're out shooting at ISOs above 6400, what are you actually photographing? I'd be really interested to know what kind of things people are using the high ISOs for. So I'm going to leave it there. There's a lot to think about. I think the D7200 comes out in Europe on the 13th of March. All the specs have now been announced. Have a look. There's plenty of videos on it. There's plenty of sites showing the specifications. For now, I'm Dave Vickers. Thanks for watching. See you next time.